Hello and welcome back to the good, the bad, and the ugly series. Where today we're going to be covering Argentina as we head into this 2026 World Cup. And gather you and I mentioned it in previous videos where we talked about how usually the favorites going into a World Cup is either the team that is, so much better than everybody else where it's not even close, i.e. Germany 2014, France 2018, or the team that is the most adaptable and that can actually beat you with multiple different styles. And this Argentina squad has that in abundance. They can play a very possession based game where they are the protagonists. They're also very happy to constantly interrupt the rhythm and, basically have a shithouse performance where they're constantly fouling you, not letting you kind of like develop your own game. They can resort and play a very defensive block, get you on the counter, or they can be very high pressing, high intensity, and control the ball. They can do absolutely everything. And then, of course, if all else fails, they can even go ahead and beat you in penalties. And then on top of that, they have the runners, they have the guys that press, they have the guys that know their role and know that they're just there to defend. They have the magic moment players that can, make a goal out of nothing. They have the creativity, they have the pace, they have the strength, they have the quality, they have the goals. I mean, these guys have absolutely everything. There is nothing lacking to their game. And I think, realistically speaking, it's like the most well-rounded national team and a very difficult one to stop.
Yeah, they check every box that you could think of when it comes to winning this type of tournament. They're also does have like physical players. They also have I feel like they also like don't have shame when it comes to look, I'm gonna come here and defend like their players themselves just because of how they're built. Like sometimes like you have certain players in other nations, which is completely normal, which are very talented attacking players. Are they gonna say, man, like I don't really want to defend, I don't feel it. And here is the complete opposite. These are guys that have the experience, they've been together pretty much since 2019. And of course, like a lot of those players have retired and some have been added on, but it's pretty much the same project when it comes to just the style of play, the players. They just have pretty much everything. And like you said, I feel like like in this World Cup, they're gonna sort of like use like the penalty thing more to their advantage. 4 years ago, they found some in two penalty shootouts that they honestly did not really deserve to be in there. They had like they were leading on those games 2-0 in the 80th minute on both of them, and they found themselves in penalty shootouts. I think this year it might be a little different, just given the fact that Messi is just not up to that level. So the games itself are gonna be a lot more close, and I think they're gonna say, "Hey, you know what? I might not have enough to sort of take this game by the neck and just beat you like straight up. So I'm just gonna come here. I'm gonna put a back four of like Lisandro, Romero, Otamendi, and Medina, who are all out like defenders. Throw five guys in the middle, and you're gonna come out here and you're gonna have to try to beat me when I have the five best penalty takers that anybody could line up. And then on top of that, I have without a doubt the best goalkeeper in the world
Yeah.
when it comes to stopping penalties. So they just pretty much check every box. I think if you're an opponent, how do you play them? Are you gonna? What's the point here? I think honestly, it has to be one of those things where you just outplay them physically and you just put three past them in like
Yeah.
30 minutes, and you don't even give them a chance to sort of do anything. Because if you get in sort of like a point like where you say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna take the ball away from them. They're just gonna defend. They're gonna get you in the
They're
counter
comfortable
with
with
like
that.
Simeone. They're comfortable with that. They're all good. Oh, you're gonna give them the ball. You're really gonna give the ball to like Messi, McAllister, Alonso. Doesn't really work. Are you gonna pay for penalties against these people? I mean, I wouldn't advise for that.
You
So
wanna you
they
wanna
just
get
check every
physical and
box.
shit house and like play the
Yeah,
passion merchant
good
game?
luck.
No
Yeah,
shot.
yeah, good luck
Yeah.
with that. Exactly. And then on top of that, I mean, another thing that I have to himself is just on the fan base. They're gonna be home side in every single game. They have Messi, so you already know. Even the refs, whether we like it or not, constantly that's gonna like that guy just looks at you and tells you, "Hey," and the refs are gonna. So they just pretty much check every box when it comes to the team itself, the experience, the players, the style. I feel like and this is where we kind of have to give credit to the players and the coaches. Well, they've made a team to win tournaments. They are just able to do it, and we saw it in the last World Cup, and we saw it in the last two tournaments that they won. In the last two Copa Americas, they had great games, they had bad games. Same thing in the World Cup. Great games, bad games, different styles, possession, counter attacking. I'm defending, I'm shithousery, penalties. So this is just a team that is just they just check every box when it comes to this type of tournament.
Yeah, literally. They have everything. And their manager is also so capable of being able to set up a team to win. I mean, we saw he played almost a different single starting 11 every single game. There was even that game against, I think it was in France, where he swapped the wingers in the actual final. I mean, it's just like everything the guy does, he touches to gold, and it just goes to show that they set up there not with this like ego to try to play a game a certain way, which we often have said and we alluded to when we talked about Spain. That's actually their biggest Achilles heel is Argentina's strength. Um, it's fantastic at being able to set up a team to win that particular game. But and this is kind of I think the bad, and I think you alluded to when they found themselves in two penalty shootouts that they should not have found themselves in. Scaloni's in-game management is actually quite poor. And it's the substitutions that he makes, whether as a result of overthinking or trying to be too proactive when it's not necessary. If you're winning the game, it's better to actually react to what the changes the opponent is going to do as opposed to you making those changes ahead of time because you're showing your hand. He tends to often make substitutions a little bit too early. He jumps the gun and he loses control of the game. And we saw that even in the most crucial moments. Since I know you follow this team a lot, is this something about his management that he has kind of like worked on, or is that in-game kind of management and lack of control that we see with the substitutions continue to be a problem that he's been facing?
It's actually interesting because believe it or not, his substitutions are so much better when he's down or the team is tied. He's actually makes great substitutions where ultimately like they kind of work, and those players that he brings in usually end up scoring or assisting. I think where he gets it completely wrong is what we saw like in the World Cup, and we still see it to this day when he's ahead. For
Mm,
some reason, it feels like when he's ahead, he makes the substitutions that he thought about the day before. So regardless of how the game is going, if he already in his mind he said, "I'm gonna change this play for this player," he does it instead of pretty much seeing that the game. Because like most of the time, let's be honest, I'm managers talk about it all the time. They imagine one game, and 5 minutes into the game is a completely different game. And I think that's where he gets it wrong pretty much all the time. And we saw it in the last World Cup. And the perfect example was the Di Maria change that he made in the final. He switched like Di Maria for Acuna, who's a fullback, which you would think, okay, this makes sense if I have a two-goal lead and I don't have the ball anymore, I'm not attacking, and I need to sort of just sustain the pressure, right? But it was the complete opposite. Argentina looked better attacking. Argentina kept attacking. And the moment they took Di Maria out and put on that fullback, they lost sort of that attacking threat that they had. So what happened? That gave France a chance to come back in the
better
game because
pressure.
like they found themselves the ball. Exactly. So that's where I think it's a big it's a big question. This is sort of like the ugly side of the Argentina team. How is he going to react when he has a lead? And for example, another change, like a lot of things that happens in this squad is I'm not Lautaro and Julian always fight for like the starting job, right? And then in the middle you have Paredes and he usually fights with like McAllister or Enzo for like the starting job. It also feels like whenever like one stars, for some reason, regardless of how the game is going, he needs to switch like the other guy that he left on the bench
Mm.
and bring him in. And
Yeah,
that's
it's like
something that
two
for me,
subs that you know he's going to make, regardless of the game. Yeah.
exactly like that, that regardless of what the game is going, of what the game even needs, he's going to do. And I think
Mm,
that's something that's not right. I mean, sure, like Lautaro's a big star, but if you don't like if the game doesn't require this and Julian is having a great game, there's no reason to change it. Like once again, I'm gonna go back to that like substitution that he did. And the final like with Di Maria was playing great. He was playing great, the team was playing great, and just that one sub, you brought France, a team that was absolutely dead, not a single shot on target. You brought them back into the game and you could have
mm.
easily like lost our final as well.
Did the same thing with Holland as well. Yeah, it's continued to be a bad aspect of him, but something that he did do very well was the fact that the team that he actually started the World Cup with was not the team he ended the team with. I mean, the fact that the team that he was playing consistently, that midfield trio of, I believe it was Lo Celso, Paredes, and Rodrigo de Paul, that's a team that gave him a Copa America and was ranked number one in the FIFA World Cup rankings leading into that, World Cup. And then all of a sudden, just a few games later, he gave the green light to a young player in Enzo Fernandez, a name that was relatively unknown during that time, and McAllister, who was playing for Brighton at that time. And that's the midfield that ended up winning him the World Cup. So we've shown that he has the capability of doing that. He took out Lautaro as well, put Julián Alvarez in the starting 11. So he's done that. But there is a very big question surrounding this Argentine squad, and this is probably the ugly aspect of the segment, and that's the Lionel Messi question. Does Lionel Messi have the legs and the ability to play all 90 minutes for Argentina, game in, game out, game in, game out, especially in the later knockout stages? because you and I, and we're going to make this very clear, we do believe that that Julian Alvarez is not only going to be the best player for Argentina, but he's going to be the best player of the tournament. We think that that's going to be Julian Alvarez. So it's very clear that he is the talisman of this Argentina team. And the reason that that other team worked so well and played so well is because they all ran for Messi. They understood that Messi did not have the same physical abilities to be constantly running and pressing. They said, let's leave him in the middle of the park where he creates the most amount of danger. Let's all run and defend for him and let him use his energy and his burst of pace when he's actually on the ball where he can be as dangerous for us as he can. But now you need to do that twice as much because it's a Messi that's 4 years older and it's been playing in the MLS where the physical requirements aren't as hard and where the actual like talent isn't as as great. So not only is he less sharp than he's ever been from a physical perspective, he's even less sharper when it comes to the actual kind of like match sharpness at the most elite level. So if you're going to have everybody running for him, and ultimately that's going to have to force you to either take off Julian Alvarez because he's been running nonstop for 70, 80 minutes, or even worse yet, he's, who's coming back from an injury right now. He's dealing with cramping or muscle issues or injuries where now your best player is out of the team because you're trying to find a way to make Messi work as a part of this 11. Like, is that going to cost you your World Cup? And I'll be honest with you, Yali, like I genuinely believe that the best way to utilize Messi, especially in the later like knockout rounds, is actually to bring him on as a sub. Because if I want to chase the game, he is someone who's coming on with 20, 30 minutes left to go against tired legs, where now like he is relying on his technical ability and not so much on face or on his pace or physicality to get past these guys. He can create a moment of magic out of nothing, whether it's a goal, whether it's a pass to split the lines, whether it's a free kick. And if I'm winning a game and I need to hold on to the lead, he's the guy that's dropping in deep, collecting the ball from the defense to alleviate some pressure, turn, drive, beat the press, draw a foul, slow down the game, spread the balls, make sure that he's the one playing the beautiful through ball to take advantage of the counterattack. I think he does so much coming off the bench, whether it's chasing a game or playing that extra half hour and extra time. You have that extra penalty taker as well. We know that he's improved in that part of his game. I think he will contribute so much more being a game changer by coming off the bench than to actually being the one that starts the full 90 minutes. And it's whether or not, Scaloni is going to have the balls to make that kind of decision.
Yeah, there isn't a single world where this team is gonna win with Messi playing all 90 minutes or 120 minutes. That's just not gonna happen, given the fact that he's so much older. He's actually injured right now. He's coming in with an injury as well. So you have all that. I'm like you. I agree that the best role. I think early in the tournament he's gonna start. I believe that. I have no doubt about that. I do think that once the quarterfinals come around, I do think I agree with you. Like his best way of going is going to be to come in as a sub. Will he do that? That's the problem here. I do think most players are they're gonna run for him, they're gonna do his thing. The problem is when he's on the ball. That's just a fact. This is like if anybody thinks that you're going to get even 50% of what you saw in Qatar, like from Messi, I have news for you. We live here in the United States. I watch the MLS constantly. I watch every Inter Miami game because we live in Miami. You're not getting that. It's not even close to that. Maybe I mean I'll be shocked. I think we were all shocked like with the performance that he put in like a few years ago in Qatar. I mean, if he even comes close, like 50% of that, I will be even more shocked. So yeah, this is the problem here, and I think maybe not just like Messi itself, but the things around him. I see a lot of fans like from Argentina that think he's still going to dominate games like that, and you're just not good. Like that's not gonna happen. Once
No.
again, we want to like point out that we do think and that Julian Alvarez is gonna be like the best player of the tournament, and in
Yeah.
order for that, like for him to happen, he needs to be the guy. We've
Yeah.
seen it. Like we saw with Atletico Madrid that he is able to be that guy that has the personality and the talent and the quality to say, I'm the guy, I'm gonna take the penalties, I'm gonna take the responsibility, I'm gonna take the shots. And I think, believe it or not, it might even be better in a sense where it's like, okay, let's just play for Julian the first 60, 65 minutes of the game, have him not run as much, and then bring on Messi to play with him. Now he could run a little more. He could get a little more tired. And Messi is gonna feed him balls, like through balls and just like connect with him. I think that has to be like sort of the game plan. But like you said, is Scaloni gonna do it? Because we do have to give him credit with that. And you mentioned it. This guy has had like the personality to change teams.
Yeah.
He has changed pretty much everybody. Does he have the personality to change Messi? because that
Yeah.
takes more than personality to, like to tell them, hey, we're playing Portugal in the quarterfinals. I think the best move here is to stack up the midfield because the midfield is so good, and for you to come in the 60, 65th minute.
Yep. I
Is he
think
gonna
I
have
think
that? That's the big question.
I, I think the best way to even pitch it to someone like Messi is like, as much as it's a mortal sin to not start the greatest ever player in the history of the game and in a quarterfinal of a World Cup, I think it's an even bigger sin for that final whistle to blow when you're not on that pitch, right?
Yeah,
Because whether I'm losing that game or I'm winning that game, if I lose a game of football and Lionel Messi was not on that pitch, like that's a crime against the sport itself. So I'd rather you be the one to come off the bench and make sure that you are there when the final whistle blows than to put you on and I know that you're coming off in the 60th minute. To the end of the day,
yeah,
like it's still Lionel Messi. Like as tired and as physically exhausted as he may be, and he can't maintain it, that technical quality, how gifted he is in that regard, that's not going away. So if you come on against tired legs, with 30 minutes to go, you give him one moment, one pass, the most, the smallest little space, right? You don't need to be running up and down for 70 minutes to be able to bury a goal. That's the reality. So I think the only way to pitch it to him is like, I'd rather make sure that you're there when that final whistle blows than to have you on the bench just to say that I was able to get you on there for 60 minutes. And I think that's the understanding that Messi, Scaloni, that entire national team needs to come to if they have any real chance and hope of going all the way and winning this thing. So that's what I think. Would love to know what you guys think as well. Is Lionel Messi still the talisman of Argentina, or is he going to be their Achilles heel? Would love to know what you think. Super sub or an undisputed starter? Let us know.